And so I was telling Will when we were coming over, my new goal in life is to move down the hallway. I'm actually going to leave the center of Pittsburgh and have somebody else run that. I'm going to run down the hallway and start going centers. That'll be my new job. And the goal is to try to build 197 more of these things. Now we've got, as of Friday, late breaking news, nobody knows this, including my own board. I was with a guy named Norman Leader in LA. I showed him these slides on Friday in Los Angeles. And the guy says, I want one, let's go. So he put up the planning line. And we're now going to LA. And USC's in on it and so forth. So as of Friday, LA is now. I ended up speaking and doing my slideshow for the Council on Foundations here in Boston a couple of weeks ago. A couple, you were there, and somebody else was there.
More better.
Yeah.
And a couple of our board members too, David Schaefer.
And they said, you know, you need to come back and talk to us in New Haven. I said, well, I'm coming to Yale for this tea. That's how we looked this deal up. So, but we're building momentum. We actually may pull this off. I've got a national board now. Mr. eBay's on that board. Chairman Steelcase, the woman who designs this Carly, Marriott's on that board. We got some weight. And it's starting to build some momentum.
Is that the board Kathy's working on, or
yeah.
is she on
She's on the national board.
She's at the Cincinnati Festival.
Yeah. And she's now representing the whole community foundation thought process. Because you guys are key to this. See, this is really set up for community foundations to do. You don't fund the whole thing, you broker the relationship. Because your asset base is not like some, Florida foundation. But you know everybody. And that oftentimes is as important as money. So anyway, that's enough of that. Maybe you can ask a few questions and go from there. Okay, cool.
I have a zillion questions I could ask you, but the ones. There's my dog behind you right there, by the way. That's my dog. Just in case people are wondering who that is on the screen. So I want to start with my first question, which is, why do you think that people who build institutions and infrastructures don't get the piece about how important architecture is? Why do you think that people that work with children don't understand the power of motivation? If you find out what motivates kids, that will drive them. And my final question, why do you think it is that people don't understand that parents, even if the poorest of the poor, respond very well to institutions that treat their children as well as you obviously treat the children you're dealing with?
How to apply common sense to life is the real issue. We've got these big, huge systems of this and systems of that. Most of them don't work. But people are so married to the system, they can't give it up. And it creates its own bureaucracy and its own self-perpetuating thought process. So you can go to a school district and say, look, man, I'm taking your kids. I got them all in college. Oh, I have a PhD in nothing, right? What's the problem? Well, we got to study it. We need to get branded here. We got to do this and do that. Have this matrix and figure out how people learn and all this business. And by the time you spend all the money doing that, you don't have any money left to build a program. So what I decided to do is forget the studies, just build centers and then drag people over there and show them what you're doing. And that begins to get people motivated. Our country is very cynical. We have wasted a lot of money on poverty programs, and this program, and that program, and got very little to show for it. So I'm not going back to the white paper study group strategy. I want to build a center, man. So you can come there, like Will did, who remember the food. People remember the things that they see. You'll remember these pictures a lot longer than if I give you some old tired speech. About this, about that. The pictures are real, man. So that's the big part of it. And the other thing is I think people are very afraid of change. Change is hard to embrace, particularly if you don't know exactly how to do it. All the more reason why we need to do it. Now, I was validated with one concept of mine. A couple years ago, I met Howard Schultz, the chairman of Starbucks, in his office in Seattle. And he was out of the office, and I was put in his office. And he came and I got to that bow. He says, what are you bowing me for? You're the guy with the MacArthur. I said, yeah, but 100 years after Maxwell House coffee, you come along and triple the price of coffee. And people like my wife stand out in cold and get you short hours. I want to be you when I grow up. He laughed and said, your wife ain't buying coffee. She's buying a cultural experience that includes coffee.
Yes.
Very important. So I called up my buddy Jeff Stone and I said, I got the model, Starbucks. He says, what are you talking about? I said, think about it, man. They go into a shopping mall, they renovate the space, it's gorgeous. Hardwood floors, great furniture, friendly people, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Jazz, not mine, but we're working on that. And you create an environment that people will in the space for an office, for a cup of coffee. Don't call it a coffee shop, call it a school. That's skill. Everybody can do that. And he said, you know, that is skill. I said, I can do that in Johannesburg or St. Paulo, Brazil, man.
Yeah.
So the theory is now that you build one center, small, but you do it right. You put a lot of money into it, you have great furniture, you hire motivated faculty, you get a small board of directors, and then you start planning for success. You start looking like a solution. And that's how you can change public education. Because what's happening now is that people are saying, wait a minute, Bill Strickland's over on the north side, he's taking the same kids that you're working with. His kids are going to college at the rate of 90% a year. Your kids are dropping out of public school at the rate of 60% a year. What's he doing that you ain't doing? Well, good question. You got PhDs and all the money. You know, public schools get funded by law. I don't get funded by law. Federal and non-profit. Almost did it in the last grade. So people are beginning to say, you know what? This guy's on something. And what you need to do is keep popping. I ain't changing the story. I ain't changing the slides. I'm just going to keep talking, you know, plain old English. Anybody that's willing to listen. And after a while, you begin to get some momentum. Because when I met Jeff's call, we didn't have any centers open. Now we got 3 and on our way to 7. And we'll see where it goes. But it's common sense, mainly. Now the planning process calls, we put some numbers with it. I'm a salesman. Ultimately. I'm really a full brush salesman. Door to door, man, selling impressions. $150,000 is the planning process. What that means is from 0 to having the centers, 150 grand. What that buys you is the creation of an organization, a board of directors, somebody to run it, the identification of the space, a curriculum, or at least the beginnings of the curriculum, so that sort of 6 months to 8 month process, that's what it costs. But that is it. You to answer your question more directly, what does it cost to actually run this, build the center and run it? That is dependent on what it becomes. And there's a 6 to 8 month due diligence process where I show up. Okay, we'll talk to everybody. 1, to see if the thing makes any sense for you. 2, what you should train so that you're not duplicating what somebody else is doing. 3, who are the people in this community who are willing to support the thing? Because if you don't get the rich folks involved, it ain't going to work. Now, I'll save you that trouble. You know, we got the center in Pittsburgh was built with a lot of money, and I went to rich people to get it. The poor folks ain't got any money. That's why they call poor. You know, so you're of which most of them are over at Yale. Thank you very much. Don't think I won't be thinking about that at a little tea this afternoon. They think it feels about tea. I came up here to get some money for a second.
We did that on the trip to Pittsburgh in 01. We did have several of the leading philanthropists in the community world.
Well, they're still around. So the answer to how much it costs is really depending on what it ends up looking like. But it ain't cheap. Okay? Of course, now there's prison. In Pittsburgh, it's now costing $40,000 a year to keep black folks locked up. I was out of medical school recently. I was talking to some residents, doctors, with a little slideshow, which they done. And I said, how much does it cost to go to medical school these days? He said, oh, around $32,000. $8,000 cheaper to go to medical school than keep people locked up. So don't tell me about money. Now you can say you don't like poor people, or you don't think black folks and Hispanic folks deserve a chance in life. That's cool. At least I can deal with that. But don't tell me you don't have money. So the symphony orchestra, the ballet, and the opera seem to find it. And y'all see the fight to build prisons. You know how you build prisons? You float a bond. That's how. They go borrow the money to build prisons. And people are locked up and cost a fortune. It's crazy. You gotta go center, man. I'm operating this at 50% of what it costs to operate a prison. With a much better result. I'm also about 65 to 70% of what it costs the public school system for the same kids. Come on, man. You can't tell me this is about money, because it isn't about money. What it's about is leadership and will. You gotta have people that are gonna stand up and do the right thing. And how much worse does it have to get before we do something? I mean, you're telling me the kid, 13-year-old kid shot down, man. Well, it's every town, it's the same deal. LA, Frisco, Detroit, Cleveland, West Palm, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I'm up there in a cornfield with this slideshow. The people come out of the audience and we need a center in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. The kids are dying on the street. So, you know, it's a national epidemic. What I'm afraid of is that there is a tsunami building. Okay? It's going to take this country out, and we better get on this. So I've decided to devote my life to building centers. That's all I'm going to do. Lay my hand out and see where it takes me. Anybody else? Yes.
What's the teacher-student ratio?
In Pittsburgh, it's about 1 to 15. 1 to 12. It's like a private school. You take the ratio of a private school, that's what we do. If we have 40 kids, I've got 4 instructors. And it's about the same in each of these centers that we operate. So there's a lot of hands-on. Now, we don't hire guidance counselors, by the way. The instructors are the counselors.
Okay.
They create the relationship with the kid, and that's the way we do that. And in fact, we don't call them poor kids, we call them students. Because that's what they are. They just happen to have some deprivation, but that's not their fault, that's the neighborhood's fault. But you have to build them, guys. You got to build them. You have to do it in partnership. It's a new concept I'm trying to introduce to nonprofits. It's called cooperation. It's very unfamiliar to nonprofits. So this is very revolutionary. The idea is we're all going to cooperate on behalf of the poor folks. Because there are plenty of poor people that go around for everybody. Okay? Somebody's going to lock on the market. And the idea is that we ended up coming here, the nonprofits have to support it. The good news is I ain't moving to New England. Y'all got enough trouble. I'll stay in Pittsburgh where I'm going. But the concept is transferable. Now all the centers are all affiliated with each other. Why? We don't know them, don't want them. They're all standalone. But we're all affiliated. Why? Because eventually they're going to get federal legislation passed. And the way, as Will will tell you better than me, to get legislation passed, get 10 senators, and 10 congressmen, and 10 mayors, and 10 United States senators. You go to Washington, you sit on somebody's neck until they give you some money. That's how you get money out of Washington. So that's the long-term strategy, is to stay these things, it's going to get built back. Just like the Job Corps, which is a big joke. They wasted a lot of money, man. You know, most of the Job Corps centers now got barbed wire around. At $30,000 a kid, I might add. So this ain't about money. Yes, ma'am. It depends on the model. As it turns out, New Orleans is already there. 3 days before the hurricane, I was there. My slideshow. 1,000 people. They all said, man, this is cool. And the hurricane came and wiped out the whole town. But our partner was an existing cultural organization called the Center for Contemporary Culture. And they survived the hurricane. They had an old building, 100,000 square foot. And so they're our partner. And I'll tell you the power of a credit union. One of the women in the audience in New Orleans was this lady who ran a little old credit union. Who dug the slides. She stood up and said, I'll pledge the plan on behalf of the people of the world. So she sent the check 3 days before the hurricane, the check and we now have the money. And we found her, and she's now part of the board of the Center. Part one little individual, man, little credit union, who did the right thing. So yes, we have a partner in New Orleans, Center for Contemporary Culture. We're going to take one floor there, 100,000 square foot building, and we're going to build the hippest food training program south of the basic business. And in fact, I was talking to guys over your office, and that's Chris Carter there. So, yeah, we have worked with existing organizations. But if we do, the whole idea is that we got to bring it up to the next level. And I'm not interested in running a poverty program. Forget it. That doesn't work. Don't talk to me about poverty programs. I talk about world-class training center that I'm a guy. And then part of the process is to figure out if there's an existing organization to partner with, or we can create one, or whatever we end up doing, we'll find the right answer. And we start small. Then I also tell the nonprofits, I ain't taking your money. I may be the best way for you to get more money. Because people will invest in success long before they'll stop investing in failure. And the rising tide will lift all the boats, man. And all of you guys will benefit if we get this thing done because it will start attracting a lot of attention to the work that you do. So everybody ultimately benefits from this. The new school superintendent showed up at my place. In fact, he's from Boston.
This is Pittsburgh.
Yeah, a guy named Mark Roosevelt. He was a legislator in Boston legislature. For some reason, he was Teddy Roosevelt's great grandson or something. And he got into one of the public education, so he took the job in Pittsburgh. He came to see my senator. He said, this is what I want to do. So he's given us a whole public school, K through 8. So since I've already worked with 8 through 12, theoretically, I've worked with the kids for 12 years. That's for about half of that.
So you're going to be managing the public school?
We are now. We got a faculty right in the school every day, right beside the regular teacher. We're changing the way they teach these kids. When the kids came to school in September, we had a jazz trio at the front door when they came back to school. They couldn't, it was like, what? They loved the music, and it actually changed the energy of the school. We also had orchids on every desk. Every teacher does it in school, including the best. Just to begin to get the point across, this is a special place. So it's, a lot of it's culture. And each kid comes to us about 6 hours a week for training in 1 hours. What we've learned is that's enough. They stay with us, we get them in college. And the young woman who's my intern is now over here, that's why I came up here, I love Yale. That's a picture way there. Yeah.
When people talk about, so how did the school system deal with everybody, the bureaucracy, everything, telling them that you're now going to come in and run a school? That's, yeah.
Because I basically said, I'm your best friend, man. I don't want to take your teaching job, I don't have to keep your job. But I'm telling you, they're coming for your head, man. Because you're dropping out 40%, 50% of the kids. They're going to come for you sooner or later. Now, one of you gets smart, let's work together and actually look like we actually planned it that way on behalf of the kids. And then when they all go off to college, we just stand and take the credit. No problem. We need more teachers, not less. The union's finally starting to hear it, man. But they see it, they're not dumb. They see the writings on the wall. But I had to prove myself. I'm for everybody, man. I'm not against everybody. And you have to go talk to me. It's surprising when you'll find it, you go talk to me. And one of the things I will probably do is call up the head of the union and say, I want to come talk to you, man. Just to see who you are. And we'll start small, and over time, we begin to build friends, particularly to get results. Most people support that. The biggest problem we have in our country is there ain't anybody talking to anybody. We got to get guys in the room and start talking, do something. Like yesterday, right? And that's what I'm doing. So I'll talk, I've given this speech to multi-millionaires. And I've also given the same speech to welfare members, and that's the same speech. You don't change the speech, it is what it is. But you got to talk to everybody. Sometimes in the basements of churches, and sometimes at the White House, and I've done both. Because everybody's important. Yes.
Something is very hard.
Important for the community to put up some money. That way you go.
Well, it could be easy to get to the 300,000 if you get 150,000. as seated, and then you could work on the bench.
Well, that really happens once you get the first 150, because you get me. And I go sell people. Say, this is a cool thing, give me people some money, we go talk to the governor, whoever that is. And, we go talk to people. But see, if you put up the first 150, that way I know. My advice said, you gotta have some skin in the game, man.
Yes.
Okay? You gotta put some money on the table. That way I know I got your attention.
Preach it, that's right.
And then we go match and all that. Because the first question the governor's going to say is, what's New Haven doing for itself? So if I can say, well, these people against all odds actually put up some planning money, well, that certainly refreshes things a bit. Then you got their attention. You have to build from one success to the next. Your 150 ultimately turns into a couple of million over time. But you got to start something. So you start small. And that's a doable number. That's not a million, those kind of thing. But it forces people to say, all right, let's fight, let's try this, let's see what happens. But the corporate people are very critical of these things. You can't make it without the corporate people. You know who they are. So we go and talk to them. And then people over at Yale know who they are, but the best I don't get in the president's office. And talk to him and say, hey man, I'm the guy that gave the tea here, I want to talk to you.
Or number two.
That's right. The trustees of Yale's board could build Pittsburgh with one hand tied behind it. And you know what my value is? I know it, man. Okay, so nobody's going to tell me what y'all can't do. I ain't on a party program. I built the center, we own the center. And I now understand how the process is. Oh, by the way, you know how I sustain it? I'm in the state budget. I get a line out of the state budget. The Republicans who put it there, not Democrats. $1 million to 1 shot. A conservative Republican leader showed up and saw my center and said, man, wow, this is cool. I said, well, I'm out of business in 6 months. He said, you're joking. I said, no, I'm joking. You guys fund college programs. This is called the training center. He says, well, I'll find out which is state budget. As long as you keep getting results, you keep the money. So we got a deal. And his name is John Purcell. He's the Speaker of Pennsylvania House. He's from Philadelphia. I can't even vote for that. But we're in budget, which is what you will ultimately have to do. Now, you don't start there, you end up there. But that's how you solve the problem of sustaining your money. See, we have to change public policy. And the only way to change public policy is you have to build a center. If my center had never been built, I never could have shown it to the speaker, man. It could have been a great theory from another black guy who's got this big dream, ain't proved nothing. Well, my center's open, you can come see it. And that proves a lot when you got a stage to show people. That builds momentum. And then the powerful people will start talking to you. I'll tell you how quickly this thing is getting built. I've been invited to, I'm in 4 cities this week. This is the first. Tomorrow, I'm going to New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and then I'm going to Charlotte for the Art and Public Places Symposium. I'm the speaker. There's another city somewhere, and it's all behind the sun. And I was in 3 cities last week. One day I couldn't do in November because of the conflict with the jazz concert. The corporate fellow said, well, we'll send our plane with you. That's how important it is. And they're all corporate CEOs, right? No secret coaches. So I'm sensing now that we're beginning to build some momentum. I'm going to play it out. See where it goes. Anybody else? Yes. The leaders, the leaders. But you can do that pretty quickly. Now, in the case of Grand Rapids, it was actually a 24-month incubation period. They come down, then they go home, then they come back, then they brought the superintendent, then they went back home and thought about it. And we pissed around for 2 years until they decided that's enough. The chairman of the steel case says, that's enough, man. We've had enough business, we're doing this thing. So he and his buddy, the boss, raised $6 million in 60 days. They even started their own endowment. The thing isn't that even a year old yet. Here, they get $1 million in the endowment. Which demonstrates to me what people are capable of when they decide they want to do something. Okay?
I'm just going to staff.
Right. And I also pick the board. And I pick the director. Why? Because I know who I'm going after. And I want competent board members who are not afraid of being successful, by the way. Okay? This is not a power program. I'm going after corporate leaders who get it. And there are some around, believe it or not. Okay? Who really get it and who are just as frustrated as I am. Need some community folks who get it. Got to be on that board. People who are not afraid of being successful. And there are a lot of community people who are afraid of being successful. They play it out in some really weird, self-destructive kind of ways. I'm into it. Okay, so they ain't going to the board. What you actually really want to go to the neighborhood, but they won't go. And then we'll see where it goes. We need to have the school superintendent, whoever that is, in on the conversation up front, etc. And then you find somebody here to run this thing. Okay, because it won't work. I ain't moving with it. I'm staying in Pittsburgh. So you got to have a local person to run it. And they're here. You just sift through a lot of sand. You find the gold nugget.
And how much of it, Bill, is driven by the choice of what the training's going to focus on and who has the need for training labor in that area?
That helps. I can tell you right now, I don't even know today. Food and medical are two things you can start with right now. You just open up the newspaper. That'll show you what you're going at. So I can tell you right now, we do a digital imaging center for the kids. See, it's arts and technology. It's not one or the other, it's both. You can't have one without the other. Non-negotiable. You want to do training without the arts, you got the wrong guy. Because I've learned from experience that there's an interconnection between these two that's very intriguing how it works. So you got to have both. But you go, we'll do something in food, something maybe in medical imaging or medical technology, some kind of knowledge. And then we'll do something in the arts, probably digital imaging, because that's pretty easy to get to. Because that's the intersection of photography and computer design. You can set that up pretty quickly. So those would be examples just right off the top of my head. Yeah, the blended average for my students' location is about $8,000 to the arts program is $800 a year, for which I'm putting 90% of the kids in college. That's in the nation, with a 40% dropout rate of the kids. So this is not about money. Okay, the upfront cost is there, but you amortize that over 40 years. Do you have any idea how much I save on the police? We put 2 kids out of school in 22 years of operation. And that was because they decided to fight each other about a girlfriend. It had nothing actually to do with the school. And they actually didn't fight in the building. They fought on the school bus coming through the building. But that's close enough for me to put out. I'll give you a quick, just to get all the romance out of this. In the old days, before I had the fancy building, I took over BIDWELL. It was in a row out there. Oh, warehouse, no wonder, man. You're all old people. And a couple guys broke in over the weekend and stole some of the tools. And back then, we were getting federal money. So technically, they stole federal property. So I went to the FBI and I said, hey guys, these guys ripped off the school over the weekend, took these tools, and I'm really pissed. And since it's federal property, I was wondering if you guys would give us a hand. Well, they assigned 2 agents. They came over and shook the whole school down. They put guys up against the wall, they interviewed the janitor, the teacher, and they found the guys who prosecuted. I've never had a problem since then. They said, man, Strickland's crazy. But the point was, we're not playing games, we're here to do something, man. And so don't run that. I'm a romantic who carries a club just in case. Everybody's cool, no problem. We don't get along fine. Anybody else? Maybe 1 or 2 more. I know you guys can do that. Yeah, money. It's not program. I can actually run the public school system. I can do that right now. But you have to have politicians stand up and a lot of schools come to do. So my limitation is actually funding. I'm only as good as a grant. So I can't go too deep into this thing because I'm also a fiscal conservative. I like to pay my bills. And I don't like debt. So I don't do anything that's got debt associated with it. Like that in the back. No debt. All my stuff pays for itself, so I have a great credit rating. I also want to change that part of the nonprofit culture. This is a business of saving lives. It's a business. You have to manage your assets, resources appropriately. People like to do. They don't like scandals, man, and they don't like deficits. No problem. I promise them you'll never be embarrassed to be associated with me. And so far, I came over. And once people start to see you for real, you start making friends. You know, once upon a time, I was in the basement of a row house in the 60s, man. They've been partying with poor kids. Now I'm in the Yale, East, all this stuff. Been talking to you guys. That's pretty exciting because it demonstrates what's happening. Now, I'll tell you two pieces of late-breaking news that you ought to know. He doesn't know this either. I ended up showing up at Doubleday, which is a book publisher. Some guy had read my story in Ink magazine. They called me up and said, "There's a big book in you." I said, "What's going on? That's funny." He said, "Well, I knew that before I called, but I think you got a big story." So he came to visit this place. He said, "There's my book here." I said, "Well, that's cool. Now what?" He said, "Well, let me write it up as a concept. I'm going to ship it to 7 publishers and see if they're interested." Doubleday, Crown, Edwin, Harper. He said, "Now, if we get one to buy it, I think we're going to have a very good day. But don't get your hopes up." Well, 4 of them decided. So we ended up going to New York 3 months ago. I was on a little IPO. Doubleday, Crown, Edwin, and then I ended up at Doubleday at the end of the day. Doubleday signed the deal. Got a book. They were writers. And apparently they're making a big bet that this is going to be a #1 bestseller next year. So there's a book in the making. Now, the reason you should know that is, if I get my brother up to see with this book, with these slides, you know, everybody in the country is going to know all these things. So I'm anticipating that this may be a great upside potential. The other side of it, and I don't need a book for my own ego. I need no damn Pittsburgh. But if we're going to do it, I want to leverage it. So I can start building these centers all over the world. And this book may be out how you get there, but it was the #1 bestseller. We have the writer already picked. He did a book called Miracle in the Yankees that made New York Times top 25. He's from Pittsburgh. That was about half hour from my center. So this is probably what's going on here. The other thing I'll leave you with is, you know, Jeff called Mr. eBay. Well, he called me up one time. We were sitting in his mansion in the valley and said, "I want to make movies." I said, "Oh, that's cool, Jeff. What kind of movies?" Like PBS? He said, "No, man, like movies." I said, "That's cool. Where's that going?" He says, "Well, I bought a movie company." So he bought Participant Productions, and he's making movies. The first movies he did were the Edgar R. Murrow movie, Syriana, North Country, and Al Gore's movie on global warming. Those are all Jeff Stahl productions. And he got nominated for 12 Academy Awards. In the history of the awards, they've never had 12 nominations for one company. That was last year. He said, "So now we're going to do a movie about you." I said, "Well, that's cool." You know, sort of halfway jest. Well, the long and short of it is, he's paying to write the script. And we got this script here written as we speak. Ed Saxon, who did Silence of the Lambs in Philadelphia, is directing this thing. We have a Nigerian kid who's writing the script. He did Brown Sugar. Got a lot of awards. And we may end up making a movie. And we end up doing a movie and book. This story is going to get very interesting pretty quickly. So the script is being written. I think HBO is going to buy it. And that's
Who's going to play you?
Well, I can't tell you that Denzel's going to read it. Probably both of them are going to read it because Ed directed both of them. So I know he's going to show them the script, but they may seem good at joking. But you never know. The point of the story is at least it's in the conversation stage, and we could